there's different layers to what's going on in a conversation, particularly about an issue where people have a stake. There's the surface phenomenon of the proposals or ideas or whatever, and under that are the emotions that people are bringing to it. And under that are needs. And there's a funny thing about needs. And this analysis that I'm offering depends heavily on what is offered in nonviolent communication, but it has very broad application. The kind of needs they're talking about is like, it's not I need an apple pie right now. That's a want. But a need is for nourishment or aesthetic, taste, the aesthetics of taste, to be able to enjoy that. These are human needs, and they're virtually universal. Everybody needs food, everybody needs air, everybody needs community, people to care about them, whatever. There's these basic needs. And one of the things that characterizes the basic need is it can show up it can be satisfied in many different ways. If I need food, heaven knows, there's all these different kinds of food, Even if I need drink, there's all different kinds of drink. So it's one of the characteristics is of this level of basic universality, is you can meet it in many different ways. So a position or a demand is somebody has felt their needs and come up with something that they think will satisfy their needs. And they're stuck in that, at that level. Other people might need in the circumstance, there's a stuckness. It's really hard to get around this, and you'd get into all this trade-offs and, if you do this, I'll do this, rather than going to let's get clear on what you need, let's get clear on what I need, or in the language of a famous book, Getting to Yes, it's like legitimate interests, and what are your legitimate interests? What are my legitimate interests? And then both of us together are going to try and figure out how to meet those needs, how to satisfy those legitimate interests. Suddenly we become part of a team solving a problem instead of opponents fighting for who's going to get their needs met while the other isn't. So that's why I say positions and demands impede consensus, while addressing deep needs is essential for consensus. And when you can go to that level of deep needs and legitimate interests, it opens up new possibilities, because there may be, and probably is, some way we could deal with our situation that would satisfy you and satisfy me, and we'd never find that unless we get down to that place where we are satisfied or not, the deep place in us, our motivational source, needs and interests and values. These things are where our motivations come from. One of the things, and this is a guy named Manfred Maxneef, a Chilean economist, observed that in a consumer economy, the companies don't actually want to satisfy your needs, because if you're satisfied, you don't need them anymore. So having a need situation that you can't really satisfy, you sell a car in order to get, or you buy a car in order to get sexual satisfaction. Well, that doesn't work, even though there's a beautiful woman attached to the sale of the car. So you need to get another car so you can get satisfied there. You need to drive your car faster or whatever. Whereas, if people are really satisfied, there's no need for, they aren't addicted to this. There's a deeper sense of satisfaction, and they don't consume so much. And also like what's going on now, if we can stop immigration, you can have your sense of job security handled. Well, that's a pseudo satisfier. We could stop immigration, but you still wouldn't have your need for job security handled. It's a different level that needs to be addressed. But if we can create an other, like the immigrant, and make them the enemy, that's a good source of manipulating people. So that's the whole sense of needs and values and satisfiers or pseudo satisfiers. All that is part and parcel of the world of PR and manipulation as well. which is another reason why it's important to get down to the actual real needs that people have and how to satisfy them. So once understood, and that phrase once understood is because what we want to do in many conversations is get clear early on what kinds of needs people are feeling and realize that their emotions come out of the needs being fulfilled or not fulfilled. The vast majority of emotions have that connection between the fulfillment or non-fulfillment of needs. So attending to that level of human life allows us to usually, so doing that is why I say needs of all parties is usually possible and very productive. And the, NVC, nonviolent communication, principled negotiation, which is getting to yes, are two methods that are particularly feature this